Hey guys, how you doing? Uncle Bob here once again with another video, and now this is going to be the second part of the review of the Chucky Ultimate TV series figure, and initially wasn't supposed to be two parts. However, there was a delivery. You may have heard the knock at the door, at my door, at the end of the last video, and yeah, it was a delivery. So we got interrupted. So I had to cut that video short because there was obviously a delivery, so I had to take that. Yeah, so I wasn't going to redo the whole of that video again. So yeah, I thought I'd just cut it there and upload it, and so that was part one, instead of redoing the whole thing again, and thought I'd just do a second part. So here we are again. So sorry for the interruption that cut that video short, but now this is the second part, and now there shouldn't be any interruptions now, because it's now about 9 o'clock on a Sunday, so there's nothing due to be delivered, so won't be any interruptions now. But as I said, apologise for that in the last video, but now we're back again with this for the second part. So yeah, the Neca Ultimate TV series Chucky figure. Back with this, and yeah, it's, as I said, it's a pretty good figure, I think. You know, very well designed and sculpted, with the head sculpt and that. And yeah, so we'd looked at the hands and the head sculpts that get with it, and the damaged arm, and now we're going on to the weapons that you get with it, the accessories. Only just 2 accessories with this figure, which I'm not sure if it's too, only just 2 accessories, which I think is a bit short on this figure, because I'm pretty sure he used more weapons or more methods to kill people in the TV series. Now, I've only watched the TV series once so far. I've seen the films numerous times, but the TV series, I've only watched the whole series once so far. But now I've got this figure, I'm going to be watching this whole series again, because I want to see if it's how accurate it is, and what sort of is missing, and what could have been added as regards to the weapons, because there's only the needles and the knife that you get with this. So yeah, overall, I mean, the accessories seems like a lot, but really it's only really 3 heads, hands, and arm, and needles and a knife, which to me, I mean, I don't really count the accessories. I don't really count the heads and hands as accessories. It just feels like it's just extra heads and arms. Really, I mean, you base a lot of the figures on the amount of weapons sort of you get. As I said, I'm not really one for keep changing heads and hands. I mean, they're not really easy to keep changing over, to be honest. They're very hard, a lot of the heads to get on, and they're very difficult to change over. They're very stiff and hard to change over, and I'm not really one to change those. Usually I get the figures, pick a pose from the movie and display it like that, with the weapons, a particular pose from a movie, and then I'll just display it like that, and I don't really change it around. I mean, occasionally I might swap some of the weapons around, but usually I usually pick a head and hands, and usually keep it like that and don't change it around. As I said, I'm not really one to keep swapping heads and hands around. I mean, this figure in particular, I'm just going to keep it actually in the box, and anytime I look at it or use it for videos, it's just going to be displayed in the box because there's just not enough space, and I just don't want it on display because mainly the stuff that I've got is 80s and 90s, which is on display. The more current stuff I don't really want to display. But anyway, going back to the accessories, so the first weapon, the knife, kitchen style based knife is what I like to call it, sort of the big blade type kitchen style knife that you get. Now, we've had quite a few similar knives like this with the Neca Myers figures, and then Chucky figures, and then a couple of the Jasons. So I'm not sure if this is similar to those or if it's sort of like a new design, but it's kind of like what we've had. We've had similar styles like this with previous figures, so this might be a new design, but it's got the thick blade style kitchen knife that you get with it. And then the only other weapon you get with it as regards to accessories is a bunch of needles, which is 6 needles and 2 pairs of 3 needles together. I actually thought that was a mistake on whether they were supposed to be one of those needles bundles, and I still don't know whether it's a mistake, whether they put 2 in instead of 1, or whether it's supposed to be just a group of 6 needles together. And you can't actually pose him with both needles because it's too thick to go in his hand if it's both lots. So I think it's only just one lot. And I can't remember, as I said, I've only seen the TV series once, and I can't remember actually which weapons or which episodes of, you know, what he uses to kill people in with as regards to the weapons and what he uses. That's why I want to go over it and see what's missing, and you know, which episodes he uses the needles and which episode he uses a knife to kill people in, and what other methods he used, because I want to see if there was anything that could have been added. I'm pretty sure he uses more than just needles and a knife to kill people. I'm not sure. As I said, I've got to go over it to check to see. But yeah, I mean, the needles are quite good. They've got sort of the design where they're supposed to be sort of poison or fluid or whatever in the needles. I mean, they look quite cool. You know, the needles together. So obviously 2 of those you get. As I said, you can't actually display him with both of those, but you can have him holding one stack. As I said, I don't really know why they did 2 lots, because if you can only have him holding one group of needles, I don't see really why there was any point to have 2 lots. As I said, I can't remember in the film whether he has the group of 6 needles all together and then he just grabs one of them or not. But I'm gonna have to go over it and check what the situation is with the needles. Yeah, to go over it again. As I said, I've seen it once, but yeah, I can't remember exactly. I usually have to see something more than once to remember stuff. But anyway, these are going to be some of the poses that you can get him in and how you can display it. So yeah, you'd sort of more or less have him, if he was going to choose to have him holding the knife sort of in that pose, is probably how I'd have him displayed if I was going to have him out of the box on display. holding that knife. Quite similar to the, holding the knife like that, and holding the knife like that. If I was going to have him on display, it's probably pretty much how I'd have him on display. And then if you was going to have him holding the needles, as regards to these hands that you get with it, these are the open hands, because you get some hands that are sort of where the hands are not closed, but these are the ones that are open, the open hands where you can fit the weapons in. But I think the space is too big in between the hands where you're supposed to hold the weapons, because they don't really fit that well without him dropping them, or they just about fit. But the space in between the hands is quite big. When you put the knife in, it's quite loose in there. It's not nice and tight, so it's a case of it probably will drop out if you have it on display. And the same thing as the needles. I think they've made the space too big for holding the weapon. It just seems to be really loose, and it needs to be more tighter. So that is one issue with this. But yeah, you get the general idea of how he's going to hold the weapons with the needles. Now, unfortunately, it's a problem I've had with the head sculpt. While I was trying to take off the head sculpt to try and change it around, the actual ball joint has come out, and I think the trouble is with these is that they make the heads so hard and tight that it's such a job to get them to come off. Yeah, they make them so tight and so hard to pop out. As I said, I'm not one for keep changing it, and not only that, even if you were someone that keeps changing, they're just so hard to, and it's off-putting to do it. You just feel that you just don't, even if you wanted to, you just feel like you don't want to keep changing because they're just so hard to get on and off. In the Chucky figures and the Terminator figures, they're very hard to get the head sculpts on and off. As I said, now that this is, now I don't know whether it was my fault that it's come out, or whether it's just a case it's just too hard, or whether it's a case of, there's a problem with the figure and it's just a fault in that. But yeah, I'll just show you basically what actually has happened when I get the head sculpt off. You'll see that the ball joint connects the head between the head and the body has come completely off, which shouldn't really happen. You should have to pull, usually you'd have to pull the head sculpt off, and that would stay in, so that shouldn't really be happening. So I don't know if that's a fault on the figure or whether it's just my fault, but I'm not too sure, but it shouldn't be happening. That should stay on the body when you're taking the head sculpt off. But now you see the problem. So, were I to display it, I'd have the problem where, that'd come completely off, and I'd have to pull that out and change the head over, and it'd just be, not a great thing. So, I'm not going to have it on display like that. It's going to be on the bottom. But I was going to show you what it did look like with the head sculpts on that, and swap them over and show you what it looked like with the different poses that you could get them in. But now I can't do that because that has come completely off, and it's really no point getting that off and then swapping the heads over, because if I pull that out and put it back on the body, it's just going to keep coming off every time I swap the heads over, because they're made them so tight that it's just going to keep, every time you pull it off, it's just going to keep coming off now. So there's pretty much no point doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that back on the body. I mean, it'd probably be possible to get that ball joint out of the head sculpt, using a tool. But yeah, I've popped the current head sculpt back on. But I was going to show you how it was going to be displayed with those head sculpts, but can't do that now. But you get the general idea of what it would look like with those head sculpts, and they're all cool head sculpts, all of them. I probably would use that head sculpt or the current one if I was going to have it on display. The other one quite looks similar to the one he's got on, just a slightly different expression, but it's quite similar to the one he's already got. If you're going to have that on display with that, and then obviously the arm if he was going to have that. But yeah, so I've got a few issues with this figure. I mean, it's not to say that you're going to have those issues as well, but with this figure, I've got those current issues. But in general, I think it's a quite good figure. But I think there should be more weapons that you get with it. But as I said, I'm not sure if I just can't remember if he uses more weapons than that in the film or not. And using methods to kill people, I just can't remember exactly. I can remember some of it, but not all. As I said, I'm going to go over it to recheck to see which other methods he uses to kill people and what should have been added and, changes. And as regards to the figure, the head sculpts, or on my particular version, the hands are too open, need to be more closed, so when you put the weapons in, they're more tighter in there. And then they need to make the head sculpts more easier to get on and get off without, there being a problem where you pull the ball joint out completely, But that's the experience I've had with the figure. But as I said, overall, I think it's a really, really good figure. I do prefer the other Ultimate Chucky that they did, and I think it's more better with head sculpts and loads of weapons, because it's like based on 3 or 4 different movies with all the stuff that you can get with it, so you can have them on so many different options of displaying it. So I think that is better, and I do prefer the look of the films rather than the TV series. So I wasn't too keen on the overall design, but with that being said, the figure itself is really, really good. And it's really, really nicely painted and sculpted, and it is a good figure. And as I said, had I choose to have it on display, I'd have him holding the knife. But once I've finished doing the reviews and now the videos on this, it's going to go back into the box and have it on display, because that's what I've chosen to do. But as I said, if you've got this figure or you're thinking of getting it, I would recommend getting it. It is a good figure. If you're a Chucky fan, I definitely would say get it. It's a nice figure. But if you've got it already, feel free to let me know what your thoughts are in the comments and message me, and we can have a chat about it. Let me know what you think about the figure, whether you think it's really, really good, whether you think it's just really total rubbish, what could be different, what's wrong, whether you prefer this to the original Ultimate, or chat about it and discuss problems and issues. And so guys, I think that's going to be it as regards to this review. But I think overall it's a good figure, but I think there could have been more added, and I think they need to fix the issues, or whether it might be just my one that's the problem. Or whether it's a problem in general. Maybe you could let me know if you've had experience with getting the head sculpts on and off. Maybe you've had problems getting them on and off as well, and maybe you think they're too tight and should be a lot looser. But guys, I think that's going to be pretty much it for part 2 of the review of this figure. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And there's going to be a few more Chucky videos, and there's going to be a full collection. And so stay tuned for that coming up. And guys, thanks for watching, and take care, and I'll see you guys on the next video. See ya. Bye for now. See you soon.